As the saying goes, it's not about the destination, it's the journey. It is a wonderful saying that tells us that life is to be experienced, not simply marched on through without passion, love, or joy. Yet whoever said that was probably never thinking about applying it to video games, as it doesn't always hold up. In this medium, the ending of a video game can be one of the most powerful experiences for the player. It can detail huge emotional payoffs or be an exhilarating boss battle that leaves you sweating for how tense it was. However, video games, much like my parents' love, are sometimes built on false truths. And just because you've beaten the big bad doesn't actually mean that you're done with the title. After all, you might have a million bird feathers to collect or a few loose-end NPC quests to take on, or you might just have your hardest challenge yet to come. I'm speaking, of course, about the secret bosses that will, in the most layman terms, absolutely batter you like they're made of deep-fat fryers. In fact, you might say that it's in your best interest to leave these powerhouses alone and call it a day. However, if you're in the mood to punish yourself, then let me walk you through some of the more hidden bosses that chewed you up and spat you out. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 8 secret video game bosses you must never find, as they're likely to murder you for good.
Number 8, Super Punch-Out.
So you've beaten Super Macho Man on Super Punch-Out. Good for you. Bet that felt brilliant to leather that posing prick, and now you can pronounce Little Mac as being the best boxer on the planet. Job's done, and it's time to go check on all of those concussions that you've likely received and also file some lawsuits against the blatant cheating that you've had to experience to get here. Wait, what do you mean that there are 4 more even harder boxers to beat? Well, I can't see him. Oh, that's because you've got to beat the entire game without being knocked down once in order to unlock the super secret special circuit, which has easily the toughest opponents in the game. Even getting to the final boss that is Nick Bruiser is no mean feat, so consider yourself lucky if you can even get into the ring with this man that has seemingly got a never-ending forehead. Still, if you do manage to prove yourself, you're likely to be stuck on this boss for a long old while, as he can down you in 3 shots or less, and has a ridiculous combo, which he sneaks an elbow into, by the way, and finally is an absolute sponge for damage, meaning that it feels like you're punching with pillows around your gloves while his are filled with bloody bricks. Because this man is like something out of this world when it comes to difficulty. Number 7. Horses. Torchlight. Now, I know you've just seen that title and probably thinking, horses? Come on, Jules, you absolute stallion, this surely must be a mistake. Well, no, my friends, and also thank you for the shout out to my sexual virility, that is always appreciated, as these horses might at first seem silly, but they are an absolute mare to take on in the quite brilliant game that is Torchlight. In a lovely nod to the cow level from Diablo II, Torchlight contains within its code a secret horse level, which is so difficult that many feel like it would be a good addition to the layers of hell from Dante's Inferno. In order to access the area, you need to transmute objects in a similar manner to that found in Diablo II, which will allow you to open a portal to easily the hardest area of the game. The horses found here can one-shot a character even at level 100. While there are far fewer horses than there are cows in Diablo II, each one of these iron-hooved warriors packs more of a punch than about 10 of those utterly ridiculous combatants. The rewards are huge, but so too are the risks, and while this might not count as a singular boss, this whole secret area is hard enough to count for this list. Number 6. Beamer. Speed Freaks.
If you've never had the chance to play Speed Freaks, then you are missing out on one of the most underrated kart races on the PS1. And yes, I know they were 10 a penny back in the day, but that still proves just how good this game was to stand out amongst the rest. With its bizarre arrangement of ugly but charming characters and their weird Rayman no-limbed vehicles, it was a game that had style that matched its speed, and it had an absolute tank of that. However, while this game was, for the most part, arcade fun that could be enjoyed by the masses, there was an absolute nightmare just hiding beneath the surface in the form of Beamer, an unlockable AI racer. In order to play as this cheeky little chap, you had to beat him, and doing so was nearly impossible thanks to the fact that he was an AI that's pretty much been perfectly programmed to be, well, an AI. He's been told to use every and all of the shortcuts that populate the incredibly windy track that you race this little bastard on. This basically boils down to you having to race a perfect race or get incredibly lucky, as there was no power-ups to help you along the way in order to beat Beamer. Now, this guy wasn't a person that needed to cheat. He wasn't the likes of Nitrous Oxide, who zoomed off in Crash Team Racing before the actual race began. He was just programmed to utter perfection, which unfortunately means that you're going to be eating his digital dust many times over, and it is infuriating.
Number 5. Wozma. Duke Nukem Manhattan Project. Duke Nukem has had one crazy ride across his career, hitting the ground running with several brilliantly designed FPS games all the way through to the, let's just say, disaster piece that was Duke Nukem Forever. And somewhere in the middle is Duke Nukem Manhattan Project that will immediately look strange to fans of the series because it completely ditched the first-person design in favour of 3D linear platforming. Opinion is divided on whether the game is actually any good, seeing as it does some things like the action and the ability to take different paths throughout the levels pretty well, but other things feel stale, like the dialogue and the odd camera angle choices. Still, if you find yourself inspired to play through this title and then fancy a really tough challenge, then you can try to take on Wozma, a boss that has about 10 times the amount of health as all other bosses, lobs explosives at you like they're trying to pay a bill with pennies, and will take you, at the best of times, over half an hour to defeat. Plus, you can only reach this boss by beating the game once on hard, gathering all of the collectibles and then pressing a directional button when prompted just before the final boss on the second playthrough. And what do you get for all of this punishment? Well, you get a different save icon. Brilliant. So the real reason why you don't want to go looking for this secret boss is simply because it takes ages, requires nearly 2 complete playthroughs, and simply put, isn't worth it. Number 4. 4 bosses at once, Spider-Man 2. If you're going to be a superhero, then you're going to have to come to terms with tackling multiple enemies at once, and for supes like Batman and Spider-Man, you're going to need to develop a fighting style that allows you to take on all comers and look good doing it. However, there is a massive difference between taking on a horde of goons and taking on 4 bosses at once, which is unfortunately the scenario that Spider-Man is faced with in Spider-Man 2. Thanks to the Fight Arena mode that is unlocked after completing the main game, you will have the option to battle your way through wave after wave of enemies to prove that you are the best, and in this example, least friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. After slogging some noggins, you finally reach the climax of this mode and are met with a truly terrifying spectacle, as now you need to best Rhino, Shocker, Doc Ock, and Calypso, who actually doesn't appear in the main game and is therefore a hidden boss, making this combined entry on this list valid. Ain't I a stinker? Taking on one of these bosses can prove to be a struggle, but multiplying that by 4 borders on the insane, as now you're having to juggle different battle styles, look for different openings, and learn Calypso's moves, which you won't be 100% familiar with, all at once. It's an experience that will make you feel like a true superhero if you manage to beat it, but don't be surprised if they squash you like a bug many times over before this happens. Number 3. Rodin, Bayonetta 2. So you might be thinking you're the absolute witch's brew when you beat Bayonetta 2 and are capable of administering a massive beatdown to anyone who says that your hairsuit has got split ends. But trust me, you will never be ready to take on Rodin, the friendly shopkeeper who you can battle if you purchase the ludicrously expensive Platinum ticket. This alone should be a signal that you're getting in deep, as at 999,999 halos, that's a price that you are going to need to grind hard to afford. If you can scrape together the cash, then you'll be rewarded with a fight that makes the final boss of the game look like an utter joke. This guy can chop off health like you're made of paper, and even has a lovely move reminiscent of Akuma from Street Fighter's over-the-top special, which can pretty much one-shot you. Plus, the timing of this move will drop from short to next to instantaneous as the fight goes on, and that's if you're lucky enough to even get past his first stage, which will see you wearing out the dodge button and praying for a split-second opening. In short, this is a fight that will test you to your absolute limit, and even if you beat Rodin, the rest of the game will seem so trivial after that it might actually break the experience for you. Good luck to all those who attempt this. Number 2. Queen Sigrun, God of War, PS4. Holy hell, this battle is something else, and quite possibly one of the reasons that it's grown in infamy so quickly after this game's release was because, at its core, it's a little bit broken. You see, the regular Valkyrie fights are incredibly tough, but each of these monstrous beings specializes in one particular form of attack, which eventually can be learned and exploited. The problem with Queen Sigrun, who is only able to be challenged after beating all of these other Valkyries, is that she is able to use all of these special moves and often does so with little wind-up or telegraphing. However, what makes this into a controller-chewing experience is that she refuses to take knockback, is massively over-leveled no matter how buffed up you are, and will make Kratos' massive cleaver feel like a butter knife as she laughs through your onslaught and even prepares her own attacks that you simply can't cancel out of and defend against. So if the concept of a boss battle that shrugs off damage, can annihilate you quicker than a sneeze on a cold Nordic morning, and whose moveset is difficult to predict sounds like fun, well, you probably need help, my friend. And number 1, Uranus, Bloody Roar 3. Now stop laughing, yes, I know that the boss is called Uranus, but trust me, taking on the Chimera, as she's also known in Bloody Roar 3, is one of the most difficult and cheap fighting game boss battles you can experience. The Chimera is like a checklist of all of the worst features of a fighting game battle rolled into one, as she is capable of the following: teleportation, zero wind-up to devastating attacks, an animal form that maintains her speed, meaning that she effectively becomes twice as strong with zero drawbacks, a series of moves that look like they will hit high but at the last minute switch to low, and the most annoying of all, is able to block nearly every single hit you try and land on her. Getting to the Chimera is bad enough, tasking you with getting through arcade mode without dying once, but this battle will drive you up the wall. I've literally never seen a Uranus devour blows from a pink rabbit like they were nothing since your mum drained the batteries out of her marital aid, but let me tell you something, fighting Uranus is no laughing matter. And also, that is my one per list. And also, those were bloody D batteries. I've seen some things. And there we go, those were 8 secret video game bosses that you must never find, as they're likely going to be ones that murder you. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below, as well as any other choices that you might have, because I might return and do a commenters edition further down the line. I hope that you have a fantastic day, my friend, and even though we spoke about unfair challenges today, let's try and make things a bit easier for ourselves by spreading some love, because you, yes, you listening to this, whether it's at work or at school or even on the toilet, I hope that you have a bloody good day, whatever you are getting up to, because you deserve love, happiness, and success. We all do as humans. And though our struggles are personal and can sometimes seem insurmountable, sometimes remember, a problem shared can be a problem solved. So if you're feeling that you need help, please remember that you can reach out and speak to someone. I know it can be difficult to do that sometimes, but trust me, people out there care way more than you might realise. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me at RetroJ with a 0, or you can go check out my new board game channel, which is called Live and Let's Dice, which is all one word here on YouTube. As always, you have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.